I moved to Manyanani. Actually, Manyanani is the my first team that I've been playing for a long time,
Oh,
and
this is
then
the
so
first
I'm
team that you played for when you came moved to Cape Town.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
interesting.
yeah. So
Nice.
I'm going back. Chess, nonsense, and analysis.
Yes, Watu, here we are again. What are we
Yeah.
looking at today?
Today we're looking at something very exciting. It's basically the chess league. It's starting on the 20th of July in Cape Town. And yeah, a big event with many teams, many different divisions, senior league, junior league, huge event. And yeah, it's back.
Yeah, we all excited about it. Cape Town League 8, formerly known as the Western Province League, as everybody fondly knows it. So it's exciting times. It's that time of the year again. It's going to take up a chunk of your life for the next few, I don't know what, maybe a month or two. But it's exciting. I think this is for most chess players. You know what? To some chess players in Cape Town, they don't play chess. They only come out of the woodworks when it's this time of the year, when it's a league. So some people specialize in this, and the passion is there. And yeah, I'm certainly looking forward to it. What are we going to discuss today about the league? What are we looking at?
I think we should look at mainly what happened last year. For now, we'll be looking at the top league. The other leagues we'll discuss as we go along. But this time we're just going to touch upon the top league. We look at the teams that were contesting for the title, and then we'll look at the teams that were relegated and teams that went up, that were promoted. Right.
Okay. So yeah, if we get down to business, who won the league last year?
Yes. So last year, Stellenbosch won the league. Tightly contested league. There were three teams basically. Stellenbosch became champion. Second was Steinitz A, and then third was Manyanani. So
Yes.
What is interesting, certainly these teams were the strongest teams in the league in terms of, because it's contested over 8 balls. So it's you so like a soccer team, your strikers, your midfield, and your defenders, type of thing. And you have to be well balanced throughout
and also you need a strong squad as well. You need
a strong squad as well. And remember, not everyone is going to play all the rounds, so you need so all of that plays into is important.
Yeah.
So those three teams, what is interesting is that Stellenbosch, they beat both Steinitz and Manyanani, and they only lost to the fourth team. Now, the team that came fourth was Cape Town A.
Yes.
Now, and when they lost to Cape Town A, they lost with a very tiny score, like 3.5, 4.5. They lost.
I think that I think what do they probably didn't. That was that title of the Invincibles was just too far for them. But I mean, they could have made it a perfect score there, but something had to happen.
Could have.
And of course,
they could have.
I think it's the youngster coming up, Jan Karsten, that led Cape Town. Am I correct? Did he lead Cape Town?
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, interesting matchup there.
Cape Town. So the thing though was that the other teams dropped points. So it looked like a three-way tie where if you didn't drop points, at least within that three, you had very good winning chances.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So the team that managed to do this perfectly was Stellenbosch. So Stellenbosch has got their striker. I am Henry Steele. But he didn't play a lot of games.
Yeah,
he
comes in and strikes, of course.
Yeah, he only played a few games.
Yeah.
and yeah, and that was the league. And then the other interesting results, if we're to mention it, is that because two teams normally get relegated, right? So we had UWC and Bellville being relegated last
Now,
year.
I don't know what I've been playing in this league for quite a while now. I don't know when I came to Cape Town, maybe 07 or 06. And I've been playing in the league for most of the time.
Right.
But I don't recall an A section when UWC was not in the A. I could be wrong, but if it's happened, I missed it. So this is to me a bit of a surprise that UWC
It's a big surprise.
Relegated.
It's a big surprise because normally the varsities have got very strong players,
enough talent there.
Yeah. There's lots of talent, but I think what let them down was that they were playing many times without a full team.
Yeah, for sure.
I think this was the main culprit, and that's what got them relegated. Yeah. And then now the B team, or rather the B League. What is interesting is that Steinitz B actually won the league. They dominated.
Talk about squad depth, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
However, now, because according to the regulations, in the Premier League, you're not allowed to have two teams. You're not allowed to have an A and a B from the same club, right?
Yeah.
So then that means that Steinitz, it reminds one of, remember that rule that they used to have with the candidates, the World Championship cycle. And they used to have a rule that there had to be a certain number of players from the Soviet Union. So it was something like 4 players could qualify to the candidates. And if it was 5, you then would not qualify. And it happened many times that a Soviet player actually qualifies, but because the other places are already occupied.
Similar situation now to this, or same situation.
Similar, very similar situation. And so they could not get promoted. And then the 2 teams that were promoted was ACL, the African Chess Lounge.
They came back, ACL. Yeah.
Because they had just been relegated the year before, but now they are back. Yep. And then a debut thing is now Crossroads. Crossroads A.
Crossroads.
Next into the Premier.
Welcome.
So they I think it's their first time playing in the Premier. They've been going through all the other divisions building.
Who's been leading that team? Is it Tando that's been leading the Crossroads, or who's there?
Sandiso.
Yes, the youngsters, Sandiso and so on. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Okay. I think he's. I don't know what his rating is, but his strength.
He's getting better.
And high 900,000. Yeah. So we have a lot of youngsters. Lots of promising youngsters. So such a team, obviously. We don't know what they did in the transfer market. Maybe something happened there.
Yeah.
Because at the moment the teams are playing their cards very close to their hearts.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know what's happening. What I do know in terms of the transfer market is because I was playing last year for Elsis River, and unfortunately the transfer market was not so kind to Elsis because basically the top 4 boards have been moved to other teams.
Did Sir Alex Ferguson retire from Elsie? So what happened?
Well, things happen.
It happens. Yeah. I'm sure they'll rebuild.
And they will rebuild, but we have. I moved to Manyanani. Actually, Manyanani is my first team that I've been playing for a long time.
And this is the first team that you played for when you moved to Cape Town. Okay, interesting.
Yeah. Nice. So I'm going back. Going back, and the 3 youngsters, which is the 2 youngsters and Jiran Brav, they got recruited by Blackjacks.
Okay.
So Blackjacks is going to also
Blackjacks is reloading. Yeah.
Okay. We're gonna beef up their squad. That will be very, very, very interesting. So we are looking forward to seeing what will happen this year. Do you have any predictions, or will you want first to look at all what has happened in the transfer market and
look,
see which player plays where?
I think when it comes to predictions, I do have some rough predictions. Of course, we are all keen to see the official lists come out. I think usually they're out by this time, but everybody's keenly waiting for that. So, but of course, I would say if Stellenbosch, the champions, remain the same with their squad, obviously they are serious contenders. It's always the case where you just kind of have to wait and see what type of Stellenbosch rocks up on the day, right? If they come up with the full squad every time, they are serious. If they don't, it depends how serious Stellenbosch would be this year. I'm assuming they might be serious to perhaps try and retain the title. And of course, you have Steinitz being always serious. I mean, if you want to win the league, you probably need to get past them in order to win the league. And I mean, we see their depth. I mean, they won the B division convincingly there, I think, as well. So, and that's, I think, one of the main strengths, Steinitz, by the way. They've got that depth. They've got players playing in the B division that has played in the A. And you can kind of play around with their board order a lot, which is quite
and youngsters.
Good. Yes, and the youngsters coming up like Regan, Ethan, and so on.
They have yes, exactly. They have sort of a machinery.
Yes.
In terms of producing quality youngsters who then always come, you know, and beef up the main squad. So
exactly
that is an important factor that they always use.
So I mean, those two teams, and of course my club, your club now as well again. Manyanani, I would probably say, is right in there. It just depends how good everybody. I would say, I mean, there's various factors, but of course I would say those three teams on the day, it depends on the individual encounters and so on. But I'm excited to see these other teams come up, like you said, Blackjacks, how they are going to be structured and so on.
Yeah,
it might end up. I'm hoping. Let's just say this, instead of making some predictions. I'm hoping that the Cape Town League is going to be somewhat like the. I'm saying somewhat because I'm saying like the Premier League. In the football, right? Because besides the fact that Man City is now dominating for the last 4 years, if you look at the rest of the pack, everybody's contending. So
it's very close.
It's quite nice if you have a lot of clubs contending. It makes it exciting. So
talk about the Premier League. I think the Premier League, they always talk about the top 6.
Yes.
Clubs, you know, but I think here we can talk about the top 3, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Stellenbosch, Steinitz and Manyanani.
I mean, I guess the space is open for someone to grab that 4th spot, that European spot. Let's call it that.
Yeah. The 4th can be, you know, it depends who's there, but I think it's going to be difficult to unsit those 3 teams because of the depth that the teams have. So so that's what we're expecting, unless there's a big surprise. We will see. Yeah. Very interesting.
Exciting stuff. Yes, indeed. Yes.
So now the game that we're going to look at is actually an encounter from one of these matchups. It's from last year in a key encounter. And it was between Manyanani against Steinitz. Should we jump in?
Yeah, let's jump in. Yeah, so we have Shabir Bawardine versus Kenny Wallenberg. Dr. Shabs, of course, just coming back from the World Seniors also. We saw a bit of him on that side. And we're seeing him again here in today's game, playing against Kenny Wallenberg. Also, I mean, Kenny, you think Western Province, and then you think Kenny Wallenberg as well. He's been representing for years on end. So, interesting encounter.
Yeah, you know, Kenny is like one of those, you know, if since we're talking league and we'd compare it to football, you know, it's like one of those players you've had, you know, they've played such a role for so long, and you'd expect them to be much older. But the point is that he started when he was young.
Yeah.
You know, so that's why he's just around. And he still obviously has loads and loads of more years and contribution to make.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so
Right.
let's jump into it. By the way, I think I looked at last year's reflections. I think Dr. Shabs, if Dr. Boa is correct in his reflections, Shabs got 10 out of 11 in the league. So this
Sure.
was one of those games. Let's have a look.
Wow. Okay, so we're having a Sicilian, and it's a
Mainline.
yeah, it used to be called Laska Pelikan, then Sveshnikov.
Yes.
Yeah, one of the sharpest lines. No?
Yeah, I like that Shabir is always going into these main lines. I think we all know by now that Kenny's playing the Sveshnikov for quite a while now. So interesting theoretical battle we're about to see.
Absolutely. So 95-6, and then the modern 95. Of course, people used to think that this was, not so. It wasn't really a serious try for an advantage, but then it's been played in the World Championship match between Caruana against Carlsen.
Yeah.
And that's where now it started being like one of the contenders. Not definitely.
Yeah.
And
sure.
So takes, and here there's 97 and knight b8. Knight b8 was played in this game. a4. So more modern line, because remember in the olden days they used to play c4.
e4, yeah.
So a4, bishop e7, and now bishop d2. So a very, very modern line. Many players are playing this, and it's interesting that I would then safely assume that maybe Kenny was caught off guard by this move, bishop d2. Either he forgot his preparation or caught off guard, but he plays a5. It's interesting. A5 is a novelty, but as we're going to see later, it's a very, very interesting move. It's not a bad move at all. It has some interesting ideas behind it. But yeah, there's a game. Do you remember whose game it was where they played Castle?
I think Castle. Okay, there's plenty of games, but there's a game between Nepomniachtchi and Hikaru Nakamura where I think Naka just castled over here. And okay, the point of bishop d2 here is, I guess, to support some a5 push over there eventually.
Yes.
And in this position, black played knight to d7. Okay, and here actually comes the real point of bishop d2 as well, revealing this idea of putting pressure on the d6 pawn. And one would expect black now to react awkwardly to protect this guy, maybe knight f6 or something. But Nakamura just played a6 over here. And then, again, once you just quickly browse through this game, you'll realize that, okay, what's going on here? White attacks the d6 pawn, and then knight a3 was played. What's happening here? Why did white not take on d6?
I think the problem is the bishop on b4, isn't it? I mean, if knight takes
d6, yeah.
Unfortunately, there's that pattern where the knight is pinned and the bishop is not protected.
Knight f6 or something.
Knight f6, unfortunately, I don't think you can save it, no?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a nice little finesse over there. And okay, after knight a3 and f5, you have your typical Sveshnikov type of ideas over there. So perhaps this was more to the point here. If Kenny was perhaps better prepared. Or let's see what happened here. He went a5, but that certainly looks interesting how Nakamura played it.
Actually, this a5, right?
Yeah.
It's interesting because once we reach the critical point, if in the critical point Kenny had gone in to the sharpest line, we would have then called preparation. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So a5 is playable. I mean, it is playable. It's not a bad move.
Okay, so let's see what happened. White continues bishop e2, castle, and black, of course, needs to start his kingside play over there with f5. And I'm just going to point something out here. When we go through this game, I've seen some interesting, geometry here. So f5, and white strikes back with f4. Typical idea, of course, white can also go for f3.
Yeah, but this F4 idea is actually, I've played the structures, for both sides. F4 is a very nice, interesting positional move, because what White is doing, White is actually just saying to the C8 bishop, look, you're going to stay there because your pawn on F5 is going to be blocking your way, you know. And now it's difficult for Black to push the pawn to E4, because then the knight could jump in on D4 and attack those. I remember something, you know, just something tells me, as I say, you know, like this position. There is something similar, but it wasn't exact position. But I think Carlsen once played in this position, something like G5.
I was gonna say, yeah, G5 could be a remedy to kind of to get F4 in, right? And,
exactly. Yeah. He played some idea like that. He introduced this G5 idea. But yeah, that's another very interesting way to play.
Yeah, position full of life here. And okay, here comes bishop to D7.
Right.
Is Black probably intending to just chop the knight off over there? And I kind of like what Shabir did next. So he just moved his knight back, denied that trade over there, and he at the moment is just letting the pawn there dangle.
Right.
And should Black take? That's the question.
Well, you know, when looking at this game, that was the first question. Should Black take the pawn? And the answer is probably yes, but you know, it's not so easy to see. Well, we looked at this with the help of the engine, of course, because it's so difficult to navigate, you know, this. So what actually White should probably do is take first on E5, because if White plays knight C4, Black can play bishop B5. And now after bishop, remember Black is the pawn up. Yeah. And after bishop takes A5, Black can play queen C8. Right?
Pressure on the knight over there.
Putting pressure over the knight. And now there's no knight B6, unfortunately, because knight B6, Black can play queen C5 check. And then after you move away, then I can maybe play rook takes A5. And then
B6 knight drops.
And then yeah.
Wait, rook takes is the bishop on B5 not hanging?
The bishop is hanging. The bishop is hanging, sorry. So first, can
you just take on E2?
Sorry. I'll take on E2, sorry.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be fancy here, but just take on E2 and that's it.
Yeah.
So basically, so let's go back to the position where, right here. So you have to take on E5.
Take on E5 first, right? Just to soften up the E5 square.
Yes, you have to take on E5 first.
Oops, yeah. So, takes on E5.
Yeah. D takes E5, and then knight C4.
C4.
And after bishop B5, now take on A5.
Yeah, E5 is slightly weakened. Yeah.
Exactly. But so now the argument is that the pawn on E5 is now hanging. So if you tried your queen C8, maybe I can take no, queen C8. That's another argument. It's a very complicated position. Maybe I can play
D6 possibly, right?
It's also possible, yeah. So definitely. So bishop C5 check, king H1, and then B6 is the suggestion. And this position is just full of life. You know, there are moves like, for example, here D6. The idea of D6, of course, is to play queen D5 check, attacking the king and the rook. Right?
Nice.
And very unclear position and fully playable position for both sides.
Yeah.
You know. So yeah, so that should have. That's why I'm saying that had he captured that, had he prepared this, he would probably have taken B4. But this time he plays knight A6. But unfortunately, after knight C4, White now all of a sudden has got this very nice bind.
Pressure on there.
Yeah, and threats of taking and playing D6. So although Black is in the game, but certainly White is better.
Yeah, so it just seems like Black hesitated there, and now he's accepted it in a slightly like an inferior position, right? So
yeah. I think you are absolutely right. I think if we probably Kenny calculated to take A4 and probably didn't like something, because you see there's so much. There are so many tactics.
Yeah,
and you have to see so many subtleties. Very difficult to calculate, because remember, you see, the one thing that many people forget when they look at an engine is that the engine gives one line. But for that line, there are so many lines around the line that you
Branching
also
out,
have
yeah.
to calculate.
Yeah.
The branches and so on. So that's why it's not so easy to calculate. It's not that you cannot calculate, but there's just the difficulty is in assessing all those other lines.
Of course. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay, so how does black respond here? Knight c5?
Knight c5 to at least defend the pawn on a5.
Yes.
But now, unfortunately, f takes e5, d takes e5, and knight takes e, and now
Bishop c3 was played.
Bishop c3 first is a good move. And then after bishop f6, knight takes e5. So now white is a clear corner.
Yeah.
But black, we could say the position is very loose, and black could really create problems here. White still has to be very careful.
Yeah.
But I think it was very impressive how Dr. Baudin plays this. Yeah, bishop d4, good centralizing move, and then starts with bishop h5. And this bishop h5 is a very nice move because you see black doesn't have a black squared bishop. So white is interested in weakening the black squares so that he's then able to attack them.
Yeah.
You see? And okay, that's why he doesn't play g6. He plays f8, resists c4. Now it's defended. Pin g5.
Nice move.
And now what you mentioned, rook a3, and now rook
a6. Yeah, earlier we saw f4, f5. And
yeah.
I think we might have seen, by the way, knight a3 and knight a6 as well. If I'm not mistaken. So
very
not a symmetry there in the movements.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And then bishop f3 is played, knight d2, and this exchange. So now we're having a position of bishops opposite color, but that pawn on d5 is very strong. It's really
it's a healthy extra pawn. Yeah.
It's a healthy extra pawn. Queen f2 is very good. Now domination on the black squares. Rook b3. I like this move very much because just puts pressure on b7. Bishop c8, and now rook h3. Yeah.
The rook is just terrorizing black here, just in front of the pawns on the third rank. Typical of the rook.
Definitely, and it's typical of the bishop of opposite color. Yeah. Exactly, because you don't have a black square bishop, so it is as if white is actually a piece up on the black squares. This is a problem. So now bishop c3, now queen d4 is coming. So okay, nice way to defend b6. Idea is that should queen d4 come, queen c5 may still happen, which explains king h1.
Nice.
Now queen c5, queen h4. Now it's just a very dangerous position.
Too much on the dark squares, right?
Yeah. Too much on the dark squares, and black resigned. A very nice theoretical game and well played game. From both sides, really very interesting game.
Yeah, for sure. Now both players like these complicated lines, and it's certainly something everybody can look into more. But I must say I didn't see the game or watch this game this carefully, but certainly much more interesting than I thought it was. Remembering back to this matchup, so well played there by Dr. Baudin over there. Hard luck to Kenny over there. I'm sure he looked at this line again. But yeah, this is what the league is about. You have these interesting encounters between top players, and it's always a big fight. So I think the players are going to come out and play their hearts out. Team competitions is slightly different from the individual ones. It's a lot at stake, pride, club pride, and everything of the sort. So should definitely be quite interesting. Yeah, it should be exciting stuff this year, I believe.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah. Okay. So we will certainly be looking at more of the league. So if you are watching this, whenever you are watching it, feel free to throw in some comments and tell us about who you are playing for or who you're rooting for and what games you'd like to check out and so on. But we will certainly be covering more and of this year's games as well. And as soon as those team lists come out, we'll be discussing the the official updates of the transfer windows and so on. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. Is that enough nonsense for today, Watu?
That's enough nonsense for today, Calvin. And, yeah.
Okay. Good stuff. Thanks for that, Watu. Thanks to the viewers out there. If you liked what you've seen, don't forget to press the subscribe button and the share button and the like button and everything else. And we will see you for the next one. Cheers.